everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. We are going to do something simple today. We're going to make, as I grew up calling them, scones. If you listen to any British show, you'll hear them pronunciate the word scone. I know Americans call them scones. So however you want to call them, we're going to make them today. I was watching a YouTube channel, Rhoda Stone. She's one of my newest followers, so thank you for joining in on me. And I'm new to her channel and I love it. She has some very practical tips on stockpiling and just planning for the future with food and simple 10-minute meals, so you might want to check her out. And if you do, leave her a comment below that you found her on my channel. But she had a basic scone/scone recipe. So of course I can never follow directions. So I took her basic recipe that she made and I turned it into my own recipe. So I will link below the basic scone recipe. I will link the recipe that I originally made, which was orange marmalade scones. And tonight we're making almond scones. So whatever you want, you're going to get 3 recipes for the price of 1. How's that deal? Okay. So this is real simple. Like, this is something anyone can do. I will tell you, I made the recipe. It made 8 scones, good size scones. I thought they were good size, and they do plump up a little bit. And it was like a lot of food. So just think to yourself, like, I don't know how many you're cooking for. If you need to double it or triple it, if you have a large family, if it's just you and, you know, by yourself or a couple of people in the family, these would freeze great, so keep that in mind. So we're going to put in 2 cups of flour, and I'm not one to worry about sifting it. You can if you want on certain recipes, but on this one, these are very forgiving. So 2 cups of flour. All right, take that out. And then we're going to mix in 2 tablespoons of sugar. And I'm just using plain white sugar, and I use plain white flour, by the way. I usually get King Arthur's flour, and we've had a flour shortage in our area, so I ended up getting Stop and Shop's flour, which is our local grocery store. And I have to say, it's not too bad. I was impressed. So we are doing 2 tablespoons of sugar. My last recipe, I only did 1 tablespoon. I actually think I'm going to do like 1.5. I only did 1 tablespoon because I didn't like that amount of sugar, but I think it needed it. So we'll do 1.5. But again, I will link the full recipe for you below for those of you that like to follow recipes exact. Then we're using 1 tablespoon of baking powder. So we want the powder, not the soda. All right. I think I'm getting a little low here. I've been doing a lot of cooking since we've been home, so I'll have to start stocking up. I will be doing a series up and coming on how to have a stockpile, how to work out of a pantry, having a working pantry, how to do a little prep. We've had our car in the shop for almost 2.5 weeks. When we put it in the shop, I should have gone grocery shopping my normal, and we didn't do it then, so we have not been shopping for about a month, and we're doing okay. And most of that is because I have a well-stocked home, so that's a good thing. All right, so we want 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So let's see, 1/2 teaspoon salt. All right. And then that's all we need for that. So let me so you're going to mix your dry ingredients, your flour, your sugar, your baking powder, and your salt. So right now, just what you have in here, you can make fry bread with it, which is what I made last night for the first time. And let me tell you, we're hooked. So again, Rhoda Stone, thank you for that recipe. It was absolutely delicious. We had leftovers, and my son wanted a cheeseburger for lunch. And funny story is, I had 1/2 loaf of bread. Not so funny, but it's funny. 1/2 loaf of bread, and we had it in a place that you don't think your dog's going to get it. We went outside for a few minutes. We came in to find the bread wrapper completely chewed up on the floor and half a loaf of bread was eaten. So that meant I had no bread, which shows you need to know how to do other things. And I had the fry bread from last night, so I put the cheeseburger on the fry bread, and my son said, "Oh, is this the special bread you made?" I said, "It is," and he loved the cheeseburger. He said it was great. So, okay, so we have now the dry mixture done, and now we're going to cut in 6 tablespoons of butter. Now, you can just use a fork. If you don't have a fancy thing like this, you can use a fork, and I've used that for years, but I did not want to pay $6 or $8, which is how much these cost, but if you have the money, it is definitely well worth it. I paid 50 cents for mine at a thrift store, so keep your eyes open. And so we're going to put in, you want cold butter, it's better, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need to put in 6, so let's mark that. And what I just do, I'm not a professional. I'm just a woman that cooks in her kitchen. I just break it up into little chunks, and I kind of put it, I'll show you in a second. Put it in the flour. No rhyme or reason. Okay, so I've got the butter here, 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 and here. No rhyme or reason. I just put it in, and then you're basically, why don't you come over here and I can show them what to do here. So your butter is in your flour here, and you're going to see, you're just going to literally press down, and it's going to cut the butter up into the flour. And so you're going to end up with a very crumbly texture. So let's continue doing the rest of our butter. And you can cut it, some people cut it into, like, I'll show you, like little cubes like this. You can do that as well. Like that. You do cubes, however you want to do it. It doesn't really matter. You just want it cold. This is already, it's pretty warm here in New Jersey today, so it's already getting a little too warm, the butter, so I need to work quickly and get this in here. But you're going to put your chunks of butter in. Let me just put it all in at this point because it's getting too soft. You want your butter cold. If it ends up getting too soft, it will be fine in this recipe. If you're doing a pie crust, it would not, or certain recipes like that. This will be fine. You could always put the dough, this dough, in the refrigerator if you needed to, and that would kind of thicken up the butter again, and or harden up the butter, and then you would be good. So, okay, so let's get this going here. Cut the butter off the knife here. Keep going and smushing it in there. I like to kind of swirl it a little bit because it gives me an idea how we're doing. I think it looks pretty good. Alright, so now, I'll show you what that looks like. It's a little crumbly, see that? Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to do 1 egg beaten. These are my eggs I got for $1 a dozen. Look at, they're good size too. Dollar Tree, no, where did I get these? Dollar General. So you can see that, they're nice size. And I like them, they're good. So I got these at Dollar General, and I did a Dollar General haul video. I can link that below. And that was a good find. You just beat up your egg like you normally would. But let me just get the rest of this butter off of here. We don't want to waste any of that delicious butter. Alright. Okay. I'm going to put your 1 egg in. Done. Then we're going to do a 1/2 cup of butter. Oh, excuse me. Butter. 1/2 cup of milk. So we want to measure that up. Okay. And now, not butter. Why am I keep saying that? Flour and milk. You want to, I don't use all of the milk right away. So when you do this, you want to not have it too sticky. So you'll want to mix it up and see how it looks. You can always add more milk. You can always add a little bit more flour. So your milk and your flour consistency needs to be just right, but you can always add a little bit more. So kind of just judge and see what you think. This to me is, oh, it looks pretty good. Let's see. I don't know if I'm going to add the rest of that milk. And the other thing I want to add is, because we're doing almond, I'm going to add in a teaspoon of almond extract. I don't know if you've ever used almond extract. Everybody I know uses vanilla. Let me tell you, if you get almond, the smell is outstanding, and everybody always says, what is in that? Because it's just so delicious. It adds a whole nother flavor. So we're going to mix that in there as well. Mix that up really good. Yep, I think we need a little bit more milk. There's just a few dry spots down there. So we'll mix that in. Okay. So let me finish mixing this, and then I'll bring you back when we're ready to assemble it on the tray. Okay, so let me show you. We're finished mixing this up. You can see this dough-like consistency. It's a little sticky. That's okay. That's just how you want it, but it formed into a ball. All right. So I figured, I was putting some of my stuff away. I figured I'd give you a quick glimpse of my baking cabinet. I made these from the Dollar Tree. Maybe I'll take one out and show you. So they are 2 of the cake pans with the Dollar Tree marbles in there. These make the best Lazy Susans. So I have my spices on there. I love it. I have it organized by baking and so on. Yes, I do have a jar of baby food. I am not expecting. I make dog treats out of that. I have my breakfast items here, my waffle maker and pancakes, and then I have some other spices, oddball things here. And then up here I have more baking powder, baking soda, ranch bouillon, cornstarch, ghee butter, and so on. So that's up there. So this is more my baking station where we're at. So I thought just give you a glimpse of my cabinet. So one of these days I'll do a bigger tour. Anyway, okay, so we put flour down here on the counter, and we're going to take our dough out of the bowl. Now, if you were not recording like I am, this would probably take you 5 minutes to make, and I have to double check. I want to say it's 12 minutes in the oven. Let me put that to the side. Okay, so here is our dough. What I like to do is just from the sides gather this up. You want to make it into a nice ball. All right, you don't want too much extra flour on it. It's pretty good. And you don't want to knead it. You just want to sort of plop it around. I make a scone recipe. The only one I've ever made my whole life was called pan scones. And you did it in a frying pan, an electric frying pan. It had to be electric. Let me get my recipe back up here. And you did it in a dry skillet, and they were delicious. And that's how I was raised. They were called pan scones. I can't even find that recipe when I Google it or Pinterest it. But this was I've always wanted to try this type of a scone, but I was kind of chicken. I was actually quite intimidated. And lo and behold, I learned that. But anyway, it'll be on my website, so I will link that below. In case you don't know my website, it is called resumeofamother.com. So check that out. There's lots of other recipes on there. Okay, so now if you do not have this is a pastry something. I forget the technical name. You can scoop things up. You can cut with this. I love it. I did buy this. Again, you can just use a knife. So I'm going to cut these. I'm going to make them smaller. I made them the size that they said, and they came out pretty big. And I'm making a batch to take to work tomorrow for my coworkers. Yes, I'm absolutely wonderful. If any of my coworkers are watching, we tend to bake things, especially during the pandemic, to give each other a boost when we come to work in the morning. So I'm going to cut them a little smaller. Now, most times you'll see they cut them in little triangles like this, okay? There you go. So that's a perfect size for somebody to have that in the morning with a cup of coffee. You can have a hard-boiled egg on the side if you want, but this is just the perfect size. So I think that's about the size I'm going to cut. They will puff up, but they won't like spread out. So I wouldn't put them together on the pan. You want some air in between, but you don't have to spread them way out. So let's cut a few more here and see what we can come up with. And some are not going to be triangles. Some are going to be shapes that really have no name for them. But anyway, we'll see what we can. We'll see what we can come up with. All right, so that one's a little too big. Let me see what I can come up with here. Well, I guess that's okay. We'll just leave it big. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I made 10. Last time I made 8. So hopefully this will be pretty good. The last thing you want to do is you want to beat an egg. And you want to get a pastry brush. I've done this many years using my finger, dipping it and wiping it. So if you don't have a pastry brush, that is okay. But it does make a difference putting this egg on here. They just have a better texture. It just kind of seals in the flavor. So if you can do this, if you don't have an extra egg, don't worry about it. You will survive eating these delicious scones after when they're done. That you won't. It doesn't make that big of a difference, but it does help if you can do it. So put that on the top. Now again, this is not the basic recipe. This is almond scones. So I will link that below along with the basic recipe. But you can take your basic recipe and you can change it up however you want. You can add chocolate chips. You could do pecans. Like I did orange marmalade. You can do currants. You can do raisins. Oh, the sky's the limit. Whatever you want to do. If you just want to change it up by using extract, like an orange extract versus using actual orange marmalade, you can do that. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to just take a little sugar and sprinkle that on the top. I did not do this with the last one. Oh, that one didn't get any egg. But cover that up. But because I'm doing the almond, I think it'll just make a nice touch on the top of it to add the extra sugar. So there we go. Now I have some slivered. Oh, I don't like the name of that, but we'll call it sliced almonds that we're also going to be putting a few on the top, and I'm just going to press them down into it. Not too many, just enough to embellish it, make it look kind of fancy, like I know what I'm doing when I really don't. But hopefully these come out delicious, and my coworkers will just be thrilled that they had something to go with their coffee in the morning. So there we go. Someone had given me 2 bags of these almonds, and I had no idea what to do with it. And I was like, oh, I don't know, I do like almonds, but I just couldn't think of a recipe. So I thought, I can add them to this with some almond extract, and we'll just put them there. There we go. And now we have ready to go in the oven, and this will be 8 almond scones, and I'll let you see what they look like when we're done. Okay, they're all done, and they smell delicious. Okay, here we go. 10 almond scones / scones made right here in Lynn's kitchen. And these are delicious. Now I had one problem. My husband said, aren't you saving any for me? And my son would like some. So I can't take these all to work. So come and see what I did while these were cooking. I made another batch here. I made these a little bit smaller, but look at the size difference. See that? Turns into that. So they do puff up. These are the orange marmalade scones. So I have 15 of these. And you'll see on the recipe that when I add the orange marmalade, it makes it a little bit of a heavier dough. So I added extra flour, and that will be in the recipe. So it gives you a few more scones. So if you want to stretch it a little bit, you can use strawberry jam. I used orange, cherry. Oh, I gotta try cherry. That sounds really good. I like cherry. Kiwi. I have a jar of kiwi lime jam that I probably will never use. So I think I'm going to try some kiwi lime scones. So here we go. I hope you enjoy. Comment below if you make this recipe. Let me know what you think. And if you go over to Rhoda Stone, you can thank her for the basic recipe and let her know that you found her channel here right at my home with At Home with Lynn Wilson. We'll catch you on the next video.